In a world full of distractions, there is one big question on every dog owner's lips.
How do I become more than just the person holding the other end of the leash?
We all get dogs with a dream in mind, a vision of the future. And if right now your everyday reality isn't quite that picture you had in mind, you are in the right place.
It really doesn't have to be this way.
You absolutely can and will be more to your dog than just the person who gets in between them and the world.
The key is you need to be more sexy.
More sexy than the neighbourhood cat.
More sexy than the jogger in the park.
More sexy than that half-eaten hamburger they just found on the floor.
And yes, even more sexy than the dog across the road.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Lauren.
Together we're Absolute Dogs.
And you're listening to the Sexier Than a Squirrel podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Sexier Than a Squirrel podcast, the podcast that gets you real life training results. My name's Sam Askew, and I'll be your host this week. I'm super excited that I get to interview the very talented Lauren Langman and her lovely dog Blink on her recent Crufts success. Hello, Lauren.
Hello, how are you? I think Blink is very excited to. She's been interviewed a few times. Yes, she's always enjoyed it and does take over a bit, I'll be honest. And she doesn't let me get a word. No, you can't go on somersaults now. Like, that's not appropriate, Blink. Look that way. That's where they are. They're that way. It's lovely to be here with you. And it's lovely to be here on the other side, Sam.
Yeah. On the other side of the camera, interviewee. Yeah, good. All right. So this year you and Blink won the singles again, second time in a row. In fact, am I right?
You are right. Obviously, we've had a year out with COVID, dare I say that word. So we've had a year out. So Blink's had a bit of a reigning champion. You're a reigning champion of the Crufts Singles. She loves Crufts. She loves the green carpet. She loves all of the people. And she apparently loves the Crufts Singles. You like the crystals. She particularly likes the sparkly ones, don't you? You like the sparkly, you're back on your belly now. She loves the sparkly ones. She's a funny little dog. She is literally at her very happiest, I would say, at Crufts. I think Crufts is one of the places that Blink really does perform to the crowd. She loves it.
Do you love it? How did you find it this time around?
I love Crufts. I used to find it all a lot of pressure, and I used to find it a little bit daunting, so many people watching and so many sort of opportunities to maybe go wrong. And then I kind of changed it in bed. I kind of changed it up, and I kind of thought about what could go right and what an amazing opportunity it was to be there. And actually what a wonderful dog audience you're in with, because at other events like Olympia, it's like agility is the entertainment event. Actually, with Crufts, it is the event. Like, it really is the event. Like, the dogs are exactly why people are there. Whereas at Olympia, they're there for the horses, the dogs are the entertainment. It's a slightly different experience. So for me, it's magic. It's magic. I love it. And I actually really now enjoy the process of being in that arena, and like relish being in that arena versus, I suppose, being a little bit intimidated by the arena or worried about the green sort of carpet and the lights and the cameras. And now when they play that music, like the music that introduces you, I actually get a little bit excited, and I kind of like, oh, this is what we're here for. This is what we've come for. Like, this is exactly what it's about. So I think I've learned to make it a better experience for myself, and to realize and to take away from it that you're very privileged to be there. That I've had a funny old couple of years. My dad being diagnosed with terminal cancer, my beautiful dog Brave having an ANMPE, so a spinal trauma effectively. My wonderful dog Eva also being diagnosed with cancer. I think all of those things put a little bit of perspective out there, or a big bit of perspective out there for you, and make you realize that these little like moments in time are the big deal. Like, they really are a big deal, and to take a breath and enjoy them. So I've got really good at enjoying them. Like, when I think about them now, they just make me all goosebumpy and excited, and feel very lucky to have those experiences, especially with a very cute little dog. Like she's the cutest.
Very cute. She is very, very cute.
Yeah,
she's as cute in real life, as cute in real life as she is on camera.
She is just the nicest little dog. Like she couldn't get any better. She's divine. She is divine, and so privileged to spend time with a dog like Blink. She's 8. I had a just under a year old. I can't believe that she's been there, I think 5 times, and she's just an amazing little dog. Like, what amazing experiences she's allowed me to have. And of course we have to be able to train a dog, but you know what, Blink's a joy to train and a cool dog to train, and not every dog's got what Blink has. And so I feel very privileged to be there. I feel very grateful.
At 8 years old, dogs, they're sort of coming into like elderly dog years, right? We'll get close to it. Getting close.
Horror.
Cover those airplane ears. Cover those ears.
Should we just turn this laptop off?
She doesn't look it.
She's not sure. Look.
I swear.
No, don't swear. Can't swear.
Does she were you sort of like, was there any question whether you were going to have a compete this year? Oh God.
So dogs prime, I think, in competition and what they're doing, I think between 6 and 8 is dogs at their best. Now, Blink for me has had a phenomenal career, and if she didn't do any more agility ever again, I would still be grateful for every single bit she's given me, because she's probably done so much more than most dogs. And at the same time, I feel like Matt said it this morning, actually. We were walking through the paddock and he said, no, yesterday morning, he said, the way she's going, I mean, you could definitely try out for FCI next year. And I said, Matt, that's not my goal. Like, it really isn't my goal. FCI, for those people that don't know what it is, it's World Championships. And it's not my goal for Blink anymore. I've changed my sort of drive for her into where I want to go and what my goals are, just because of life and family and what our objectives are, I suppose, for where we are at the moment. However, he's right. She's got faster and faster and better and better. She's on great supplements. She's on great food. She's on great exercise regimes. She's fitter than ever. She's fast. She's good. So I expect her to have a very good competition year, actually, Sam. I expect her to have a really cool year. And she feels great. She feels really top form. I cannot imagine that she won't be at Crufts 2023, dare I say. I can't believe we're going into I remember the year 2020 parties, dear Lord. So 2023 Crufts is on Blink, isn't it? It's on. She's on. She's
That's cool. That was going to be one of my questions, actually. That was definitely going to be sort of like, are you still going to run her next year? Yes. You know, how do you sort of feel about that?
Yeah, she's small. She's what I would describe as low mileage. She's got very, very low mileage. I've rarely ever pushed Blink. Like, she's really been kept like very, very well. She's never been like dragged and pushed and like ragged to what some people will with dogs, if I'm honest. I think you need to observe that. For me, I love a great friend of mine. She's called Natasha Wise. She said it to me, and loads of people have said it similar. But I always remember her sort of saying, your dog only has so many jumps in them. And I'm a massive believer that they only have so many jumps in them. So don't use them badly. So I use my jumps wisely, because I know, especially a little dog like Blink, she is small and she has had knee surgery as a young dog. And so I'm always playing against like time and health. And so we keep her fit. She has a great diet. She's on Prime. She's on Flexi. She's on Calm Senior. So she's on all the cool stuff. And she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing.
Do you feel, so next year you compete with her again, and technically you'll be like 3rd time kind of trying to keep your title, I guess, in that sort of world. How does that feel? Does it add pressure, or do does it change the dynamic at all?
No, not at all. I go out to lay down the best run I possibly can. I love pressure. So I think I really thrive under pressure. I'm actually much worse with no pressure. I love running last. I love running late in the day. I like running when I've seen what everyone else has put down. I often am a bit too relaxed if I don't have pressure. So I like a challenge, I like an objective, I like a goal, I like a mission. I get a little bit bored and a little bit restless if I don't have one. And so for me, bring it on. I love it.
Okay. And do you think, really quick question that occurred to me whilst you were talking before. Do you get to choose the music?
So when you say the music, what do you mean? The music for...
for like you said there was like an intro where you get really excited when they play the intro music. Do you get to choose anything like that?
No, Crufts is very, very well orchestrated, and it is like a show that you will never have experienced before. I mean, it's definitely an event to be at. This year 20,000 plus dogs entered, so 20,000.
Wow, that's crazy. Is that just agility?
No, this is dogs at the
like
event.
Just in total
4 days of event. It's a really cool event to go to if you have never been. I do think it can be stressful for the dogs. I think it can be very stressful for the dogs. I think it can be a lot to take in for the dogs. Ultimately an amazing experience. Ultimately a great experience in many ways. But no, it's very well orchestrated. Everything is like planned and mapped and timed, and they've got all their special music. But I know like the lead ups and the build ups. I love being in that tunnel and being ready to go. And it's funny, in between times, we've had such a funny old few years now. I could think about not doing it. And then when I get in that environment, in that arena, I want it again and again. It's like the most, I don't take drugs. I'm not a smoker. I'm not a drinker. I don't do any of those things, but God, am I addicted to agility and that feeling. Like it is an addiction like I have never felt before. When I'm in that environment, I'm like, give it to me again. Like I definitely fight for it. And I would struggle to not be there. Like I've turned down lots of other big events and I can walk away from them. This one's one I can't walk away from. I love it. I absolutely love it.
So your absolute favourite out of all?
I would say it's my favourite.
Anything...
Yeah, it's my favourite event. I like Olympia. I love Crufts. I love Crufts. Okay.
So you're walking through the tunnel and you're getting ready to run. Do you have like any like rituals? You know, like some people have like a lucky charm, or like they wear the same socks for 3 weeks. Do you have anything weird or strange?
I've got very lucky underwear. No, I don't.
I thought this conversation was taking a really weird turn then, but
too funny. I have a very, very set, like Matt's a brilliant I suppose support network for me, coach, balancer, kick up the backside, reminder of why I do it. It keeps me accountable, remembers where my shoes are, my bib or whatever else I might need. Sounds crazy, a bib, but if I'm at World Championships, you wear like a bib. Like he's really good at, we would call it a groom, but it's more than a groom because it's basically getting you to exactly where you need to be at exactly the right moment every single time. And so he's really brilliant at all of that. But for me, oh God, remind me the question again. Go on, say the question again, Sam.
Oh, lucky charms. Lucky charms. Or something that you do.
The ritual is he'll get her ready. I'll be like putting the course through my head and working out things. I apologize, but anyone can hear chewing in the background. That's Brave. She's chewing a bone. She's literally going crazy on a bone down there. I would then take Blink, and she is wriggly and wired by that point. She's really wriggly and like, we'll take her coat off because she nearly always wears some form of warm-up coat or magnets or back on track or something that sort of is good for her. I'll take her and then I'll always put her on the ground and I'll do a few spins, a few leg weaves, a few middle stand downs, a couple of like knee warm-ups, and then I'll bring her back up to me and I'll hold her because she's tiny. She's only like 5.6 kilos. She's tiny.
Super tiny.
Everyone can't believe quite how tiny she is. She really is tiny. And so with that, what I then do, have her under my arm, walk her out. And there's two people that walk you out. And one of the people that walks out on the Crufts, into the Crufts arena, one is Mand, and then the other one is Nigel. And Nigel will walk out, and he's so funny. He's always like so encouraging. And he's always like, oh, I'm pleased I got you to walk out with. So he'll walk out with me, take a lead. And he's always like, good luck. And then there's this lovely guy that does the sort of tells you when you're ready. And he's just brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. Rob, his name is. And Rob always says, in your own time. And he gives you like good luck. And he gives you like I always feel like I can trust him. Like he's a good guy. Unless he tells you jokes, then you can't trust him. He's but yeah, he's a really good man. And he always makes me feel very self-assured and confident on that start line. I pop her into middle, I leave her in a down, and then I lead out. And so I suppose it's all ritualistic in terms of the warm up and the timing and how everything works. I don't have any lucky pants, sadly. I don't have any lucky charms except for this brown one over here. And I very much believe that it's all in the prep and all in the planning of the event. And so I do quite a lot of planning up to the event. I'm a real crammer, so I don't train months and months in advance. I'm terrible at, you'll always know if I've got a big event coming, because I'll be out there cramming the week before. I'm then like, oh, quick cram. But my dogs are always fit. They're always healthy. They're always well checked. They're always well. And I will look out for some more lucky pants.
Let's hope no one sends you any in the post now.
Too funny.
You said that, I remember you saying this year you did like a lot less prep than you usually do.
Yeah.
It sort of in previous years, and yet you were still like massively successful. So why do you think that is? Do you think there's such thing as too much prep? Do you know, can we psych ourselves out in that way? Or how do you feel about that? I could
have done better on the first day, if I'm honest. And I think I lost out. I don't think I could have won the championship. I think the dog that won the championship is faster than Blink, stronger than Blink in lots of ways, bigger dog. And I'm not saying that they'll always win, but I do think that she has to give a lot, because she is only a 30 centimetre dog. So don't let her listen, because she's not only a 30 centimetre dog. She's a big dog. And to go up against dogs much bigger than her is always going to be a stretch. And she gives her all, like she gives you every single bit. For me, I handled something badly on the last line. And when I say I handled badly, she just misread my cue, and I was not quite communicating with her as I needed to be. Kick up the bum, a little bit of frustration on my part, because I could have done better by her. And when they are the age they are, you don't know how many more chances you're going to get at it. And so for me, it was important to do better the next day. Now, when I think about planning and prep, that's where I could have done a bit more that first day. Like I couldn't have done it that day, it's too late, but I definitely could have done it beforehand. So I think I did well. I think I could have done a little better. I definitely don't think I over prepped. I also think there's got to be a balance between prepping and then like killing your dog effectively, like doing too much with them. Like you can't do too much with them because they will break. So for me, I think it's a fine balance. I think I could have done a little bit more. I think I was okay. I think that we still managed to be at the very top of UK agility for the Kennel Club. However, I think that we can always see room for improvement, and I could see that.
Okay. Do you when you're sort of, again, going back to the tunnel, because I just can't imagine that, like sort of standing there with thousands of people. I can't imagine. Do you get nervous at all? You know, when you're like leading up to it, nothing at all. I can't imagine. I mean, I get nervous just being on this, and I'm just like,
really excited. Like really,
do you get that buzz? Do you get that like you know, that electric that you feel in your body?
I literally am like, come on, I can't wait. Let's get on there. Like I cannot wait. And when I'm there, I take a really deep breath, I look around, take in the moment a little. I still haven't quite got like great at waving. Like I always want to be able to wave, and I haven't got that down, because like there's always people that want to wave at you, or Eliza's like, Mummy, you didn't look for me. You didn't look up and wave. And I'm like, oh, I want to look, Liza. I just get a bit like, oh, can I? But yeah, that's the only thing I would say I could do maybe better. I could get better at waving.
Just wave at everybody.
Waving. Like the Queen.
Is it awkward? It's just awkward.
It is.
How do you wave?
Look up. It's awkward to look up. So I look at Blink, I focus on the AstroTurf, I focus on the equipment, I focus on the judge, I focus on Rob, who lets you leave the start line, I focus on Nigel, who takes your lead, or Manda. And so I kind of am looking at all those people, but not necessarily looking up.
It's probably a little bit like when you're climbing, you don't want to look down.
I think there's a brilliant quote, Man in the Arena, the Theodore Roosevelt quote. And when it says like the man in the arena, those who's it's the blood and sweat and tears, and you're in the arena, you're the person that's trying, you're not one of the onlookers outside. And it's funny, we sat outside and watched one of the other classes, and it's so very different watching from outside than being on the inside. I much prefer being on the inside. You can do a lot more about it. Like you're in a position to change stuff, you're in a position to move stuff, you're in a position to adapt stuff, you're in a position to make stuff happen. Like I like being in the arena.
Was that watching Matt?
I was out. No, I wasn't. I was in the same class as Matt, so I couldn't really watch from up there. There wasn't enough time to go up and down. But who was I watching? I was watching Ewan and Crazy. And I was watching her from the outside, and yeah, that was amazing. That was a Saturday and a Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday we didn't compete. So I was watching from the outside. We were on the trade stand. So AbsoluteDogs had a super cool stand at Crufts, which was, for all those people that came to visit, amazing. We loved it. We're definitely going back again. And so yeah, it was good. It was different watching from there, but I much prefer being on the inside of the arena.
With Matt competing this year, how was that? Did that change things?
Yeah, that was a weird one, I'll be honest. I'm so used to Matt being like my right hand that I found it a little bit hard to be his right hand. I probably could have lessons from him in that. I was like, but and I also found it hard. Like, I find it hard that Matt hasn't been in sort of competitive agility like that for a while, and probably doesn't want to naturally put himself there. He kind of happily sort of landed in that position by winning a championship, which is amazing. But at the same time, probably I don't think it's like his life's mission anymore. And so supporting Matt, but also not allowing any results like affect what we're doing either way too much is hard. Because you obviously really I want Matt to do well. I want Classic to do well. So for me, it's definitely it's an interesting one. It's trying to be really, really selfless, and at the same time, naturally, especially around agility, I'm so used to having like Matt as my right hand. I naturally would lean on him for everything. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I definitely think I could do better.
More learning in that area.
Lots of learning.
In terms of talking about sort of nerves, you did a few or some TV and radio interviews with the BBC during Crufts. I managed to catch one of your radio interviews, but I think you did more than one, didn't you? Yeah. And I saw your interview that you did with Claire. How did you feel during those? So you're used to speaking publicly. But... Yeah,
interview Claire, no problem. The funniest thing was afterwards, someone said, Tom really wanted to speak to Claire and you got to do it. And I was like, did he? Oh, I forgot. I didn't realise I should have got her to come over. Too funny. So yeah, that was amazing. No problem at all. It's just like a normal human conversation. And you're ecstatic, elated, high, excited. Therefore, it just feels normal. Like, feels really, really normal. Whereas the radio... I think at the time I felt really shaky, really wobbly, really nervous. I got the butterflies. I got all of the things I used to get when I started competing, all of the things I used to get when I was nervous about anything, all of the things I used to get before I would go on camera, all of those things, like all of the things from before, and actually realized, it all scares me a little sometimes.
So was it strange feeling that way again? Because usually,
weird. Weird.
Generally quite confident.
I had this complete panicked moment where Matt had put all the questions. They wanted me to do a quiz, and Matt had put them all on his laptop. So we'd got the quiz together, and it was talking about a West Highland Terrier and how many Crufts entrants and what stopped the 2010 sort of final happening and the crazy streaker moment and all of those things. And basically, the laptop wouldn't start because his password wasn't there and his finger wasn't there, and he'd gone out so we could listen to the radio outside. So she said, what are your quiz questions? And I was like, no, like, how am I going to remember these quiz questions off the top of my head when they're all on Matt's laptop? And I just had this like mild moment of going, panic, and then realized that I'd sent them to him on my phone. So quickly scrolled on my phone and got them. So yeah, those sorts of moments on a camera now don't freak me out. I just kind of like stride it out. On the interview or the radio, it really freaked me out.
I don't think I could. It was you could hear it a little bit at the very, very beginning. And it was just, but then you could see that you just sort of caught your stride. And,
my voice just was like, and then it calmed down. It just calmed down.
And then it was fine then, yeah.
And especially when they ask you, I think it's not knowing what questions someone's going to ask. Like she asked me about what I thought of some of the breed standards and how they'd been like changed by the Kennel Club and how they maybe didn't look as they should look. And I was like, oh God, such a controversial question. How do I get out of this? Because at the end of the day, none of us want to answer controversial questions like that in a public forum where actually you can, let's be honest, be pulled apart. And so it's funny, I never used to realize, I know this sounds a bit crazy, but I feel a little bit like mini dog celebrity when we're out and about these days. And I never realized how that sometimes feels. Like you'll be walking around and there's pictures of you just walking around Crufts and people are noticing you all the time. And that's very different to, and you're definitely seen as a public figure in that sense. So when we are, I don't know, having an opinion on, let's say, a German Shepherd or a French Bulldog, then suddenly there's a difference to that opinion. Like it's a big deal. And so I think for me, unless I felt really passionately about something, I try to stay not too involved. So I don't really know that much about all of the breed standards. So other than saying, obviously, Blink is a gorgeous Cocker Spaniel that probably some days maybe has legs the length of a Dachshund's, and actually got confused once for a Dachshund at Crufts. Don't tell anyone. We'll keep it to ourselves. So because of that, for me, I would probably just try and stay out of those topics.
A bit of a can of worms.
Definitely.
Ultimately, for sure. What advice would you give to any sort of budding agility person out there that sort of thinks, maybe they'd like to compete at Crufts one day? What would you tell them?
Absolutely. Set your plan. Work on the plan, work on the goals, make it happen, find good mentors, work around. I love the idea that we stand on the shoulders of giants, people that have already walked those steps and those paths before. I remember going to Ireland last year. It was amazing. We were in Giant's Causeway, and I love the idea that there's a level of like history, or there's a level of like someone's been there before, or someone's done something before. For me, having mentors, having great people that have already walked those paths, having great trainers, having brilliant access to people and surrounding yourself with those people. I think that's really important, and definitely go for it. For me, I never saw myself at Crufts or Olympia or World Championships until I started having a bit of success, really. And as soon as you get a bit of success, you get a bit more, you get a bit more, you get a bit more. You got the sort of, you've bitten and you've got the addiction and you're all in. And now I've gone from being a competitor at those events to a regular winner at those events. And that's really cool. Like that is really cool. Nice. It's a nice, I genuinely start on that. And I know that whether Blink can go there to win or not next year, depending on how her body and health and everything else is. Right now, she's amazing. I've got Venture following in her footsteps, and she's amazing. And she's 5. So I know I've got a few years of her winning at that level. And then I'll have youngsters coming in. So for me, I know this is like my arena. I'm quite confident with that. So I started as a normal competitor at sort of grassroots pet level, didn't have had a very naughty but nice dog, and she equally talented to Blink, but just had me as a handler, and I wasn't where I am now. And even now, there's still loads to learn. I still hit myself on training days, and I think that's probably another thing I would advise someone is keep learning, keep taking yourself on training days, keep growing, keep getting new information. You don't know it all, and when you do know it all, you're dead. Like, don't like literally, you don't want to get to a position where you know it all. Okay.
Do you ever look back at where you started? Sort of talking about there, the way you were saying about grassroots and where you started. Do you ever look back and go, "Wow, look at how far you've come"?
Probably not enough. Every now and again, it's funny. Lately, and again, it might be Dad, it might be Ever, it might be Brave. Way more than ever, I think, I want to do it all again, or I want more time, or I want that experience again, or I missed that, or I didn't make the most of that. I should have made more of that. It could be anything from something little, something big. Like I could have made more of this. I definitely would never want to go back now because of where we are now. Like it's amazing, because you look at like what we have and what we do and how we spend our days. Like it's incredible. However, if I look back, there were some really amazing days and there were some really amazing things. And there's a lot of good stuff to look back on. And yet the progress is amazing. And I can see why it's amazing. We were always passionate. We were always invested. We were always, I think the hashtag would be #all in. We were always all in.
Can't go wrong if you go all in. I agree.
All in.
When So I'm relatively new to agility. So when you go to Crufts and you get a course, how long do you get to walk the course? And then do you have any sort of techniques to how you sort of visualize it and know where you're going and stuff?
Yeah, good one. So you get the paper when you go to Crufts. So you get given a piece of paper that's got the course on it, probably 45 minutes before the run. So I've normally I've normally walked that a good sort of 100 times in my head. And normally I've got like a friend or a trusted sort of confidant that I can show that to. So it might be I might send them a picture and they might send me some voice messages, or like this show I was there with my good friend Tash, and Tash is lovely, and I really have a lot of time for Tash, and she's been a long-standing student of mine, very, very proud of what she's achieved. She came to me with no experience in agility, and she's been my mate at sort of World Championships, Olympia, Crufts, all of the big events, and been lucky enough to spend great time with a great friend. This year, no different. Matt's looking after the baby whilst Rich is helping do other bits, and like it's just all full on, and yet we're there walking the course together, talking the course through. So I think having someone to talk it through with, having someone to look at it with, and also being able to keep a really flexible, open mind, because actually when you get on course, it might be completely different, and they can set it up how they want, and it might look one way on paper and it might look different out there. So don't get too set on it. You have to stay really, really flexible and open. And then when you do get on course, I walk it for the numbers, then I walk it for the handling, then I walk it for the other handling options, and then I try and final walk it for what I'm actually going to do. That's my goal.
And when you get on course, how long is that before you run? 5
minutes.
What?
That you might get on that course. Yeah, about 5 minutes. Remember that they're trying to set it up as a show for the crowd. So this is not for you, this is for the crowd. And so they give you the maximum time they can, but they are there to run a show. And you are just an entertainment in that show. And you've got to remember, you've got to go out there and give your best for you, but you're also an entertainment act. And so, you've got to be aware of that. So no, not long at all.
Not very long at all. I'm really surprised. Wow.
We can do it next class, Sam. We can do it next class. 5 minutes. Go.
My top is 6. I can get to 6 and I'm like, we'll get it. When you're going around the course, is it, you're probably really well practiced actually. So, but is it weird when you've got lots of people around you not to just sort of zone them out and really just focus on what you're doing when you're walking the course and not paying any attention to what they're doing, especially if they're maybe doing some different handling, you're like, oh, you know.
No, not weird at all. Just literally zone out and focus on yourself. I definitely do look, there are certain handles that I'll look at and I'll be like, oh, that's how they're doing it. I might look at that because I know I would handle similarly to them. And so for me, there are the odd person I'll like check in at what they're doing, but on the whole, no, I zone out and focus. I used to wear headphones. I now can like dull out the noise. I suppose it's a bit of a mindfulness practice. Mindfulness people think is like sat in front of, I don't know, a candle and meditating. For me, walking a course is mindfulness. Feeding the fish is mindfulness. Watching the waves is mindfulness. There's a lot of other things that can be sort of meditation and mindfulness. So for me, it's a level of concentration.
I like it. Do you right, bear with me. So when I've watched Formula One stuff, right? And during the Formula One stuff, sometimes they sit and they visualize, they shut their eyes and they have to visualize the course as if they're driving it. They're remembering every single turn as they go around it. Do you do anything like that? Do you sort of
definitely. I think I can replay courses, and I tend to replay really good courses where we've done really well. And I can also visualize me running around a course and work out the timing. Like as I'm walking, I can work out where the dog is at parts of the course. So I think that's just you knowing the dog very well and the dog's timing very well. And I definitely can, I'm very visual. So I can definitely look at a course and then visualize how it might move and look and what I might do. So yeah, definitely.
An exercise to practice.
100%.
How do you so when you go to Crufts, there's obviously a lot going on, and particularly this year you had Matt competing as well, and there's the AbsoluteDogs stand, and there's getting yourself prepped. How do you get yourself in that sort of, how do you split yourself when there's so much going on, focusing on what you need to focus on?
Really good question. On the days I'm competing, I absolutely am competing. So I try not to be on the stand at all, if I'm honest.
Okay.
It's just not a good compromise for me. What I've realized is when I'm out there being sociable and chatting and meet and greets and friendly, sort of autographs and portographs and whatever else I'm doing. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the people. I love chatting to our listeners now, and I love making new friends, and I love like the dogs having their photos. I love all of it. Like I really enjoy it. The issue is I then struggle to be able to flip between that and being a really sort of, to a degree, a ruthless competitor who is focused, who's, to be honest, quite like target driven. I struggle on going between the two. And so for me, it's just a non-negotiable. I literally am one or the other. And then the Saturday and the Sunday, I split between going and visiting certain stands and seeing certain people that I promised to meet up with at Crufts, and then actually going on the stand and meeting and greeting all of our amazing pro dog trainers, training academy students, Sexier and a Squirrel enthusiasts. And yeah, it was good. It was really good. So I kept the balance that way.
That's good. So you literally weren't able to split your time to maximize the whole event. It's good. I like it.
Absolutely.
I think I would really look, again, a little bit new to agility. So how do you qualify to be able to compete there? How does that work?
Ways, yeah, lots of different ways to qualify, but effectively qualifications are all over the country for different events at different heights, at different breeds, at different opportunities, really. But they're all over the country, and you normally gain points for a qualification class. For example, you could be in an ABC class, which is anything but a collie. You could be in what Blink's in, which is a grade 6-7 to the highest grade class, and she's in a height class. Within the singles, you could be championship. So there's lots of different ways to qualify in different events. Eliza, I wonder if she'll go for like the YKC, so you could qualify in YKC as well. Lots of different ways to do it, all of them challenging. Probably I would say the best place to start is on the Kennel Club website
and have a look on there.
There's so many different ways, and they're all different events. So it does depend on the dog, the handler, and the partnership, and what their sort of levels are.
Okay. In terms of, so we talked about prep earlier, and a question just occurred to me. So when you were talking about how the dogs prep, how do you prep? Because as you were saying, you can't, the dogs have only got so many jumps in them. So how do you prep and practice your agility, or how much do you practice?
Yeah, really good question. I tend to try and train courses the weeks before, but I might train my other dogs as well. So I run them on the courses. Now, some people don't like to do that because they just want to run this dog, but actually I think I would just break her. So I personally will run my other dogs. So I'm really match fit and course fit. And I would actually say, we talked about earlier the area that I could have done better at. I think this is the area I could have done better at. I could have run more. Oh, really? Been a bit better. That's probably one of the things I should have done, is run some whole courses. And I just didn't. I just mind off the prize a little.
Yeah, you still got the prize.
Still got
the prize. If we were in person, I'd totally high five.
High five, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. Someone wonderful sent a load of chocolates in the post, and stars and hearts and colourful things. It was lovely. So it does make you want to celebrate and be a bit proud. It's nice. It's a really nice feeling.
It was nice to see all of the support you had on like training again, all the groups and on even just your Facebook page, it's just really lovely.
Everyone gets love that, and Blink loves that, and it's lovely. It's really lovely.
Do you feel that pushes you on? It like jazzes you up type of thing?
It's such a big boost. It's such a big energy boost. It's such a big inspiration. I love it.
It's that community. I think that's the thing I love the most about Training Academy, so it
is
amazing.
It feels very supportive.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Very, very supportive place. Well, we're definitely all rooting behind you for sure.
It was lovely. It was lovely.
For sure. I think I have run out of questions, Lauren.
I love that.
I asked all of the questions I could possibly think of in my head. It was really exciting to be able to ask them, actually, just to really pick your brain and be like, so
get inside the brain of Lauren Langman and Blink. I think most of all, as a little bit of a sum up, it would be definitely get out there and enjoy it, whatever you might enjoy. It doesn't need to be Crufts, it doesn't need to be Olympia. It could just be, I don't know, setting yourself a canicross run or a park run or a fitness goal or a weight goal or a getting out of bed goal. I mean, it literally can be any goal you like. For me, setting yourself a challenge, having things to strive for is what keeps us I suppose, passionate and alive for me. And so for me, it's one of those sort of anchor events that I get to look forward to. I think having those anchor events that we get to look forward to, or having those things that we get to look forward to, I think it's important. And yeah, I'm really glad that everyone has had an opportunity to see what you do, that you, Sam, alongside all of the other sort of amazing people behind us, get behind us. Like, it's lovely and really well acknowledged. And I can't wait to do it all again. So that's really cool. Anyway, that was this episode of the Sexier and a Squirrel podcast.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
And Sam, thank you so much for interviewing and coming up with such great questions with such lovely fluidity and flow. It was fantastic. I think the only thing we're left to say is, to all of our listeners out there, we've got to say, remember, stay sexy. Woo!
Hey, before you go, have you taken part in the worldwide Sexier Than a Squirrel challenge?
It's a 25-day online video program, huge energy, amazing community, and over 6,000 people are already taking part.
The only question is, you know where you are today. Where do you want to be 25 days from now? Head to absolutedogs.me/sexy.